Here's my audience. Okay. So, I want you to think about the last time that you checked your phone. Maybe it was like a couple hours ago, maybe it was 5 minutes ago. I think for most people it's pretty easy to just think really quick. When's the last time? It's kind of like the last time you ate, you know? It just feels like something you have to do on the daily. And a lot of teenagers, they spend hours every day on apps like Instagram and TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat. It's all apps that kind of have the same idea of scrolling one video after another, you know? You get a little boost of like, oh, this is so interesting and fun. Now next. And you kind of get stuck in that like just repeating of just scrolling. And this can go on for hours and hours without you even realizing how much time it's truly adding up to be, you know. And since most of us use social media almost every day, it's important, I think that's important for us to kind of understand what that's doing to like our brains just sitting so close staring at a screen all day. And not just like our brains, but how we feel about ourselves personally, like, you know. And so I think I picked this topic because I use social media a lot myself, and I was just really curious about what it does to teenagers, because we're just so impressionable, you know, our brain is still developing, and I just wondered what this kind of did to the brain and like to their personalities. Yeah. So social media can affect teenagers in a lot of different ways, especially when it comes to mental health and sleep and self-esteem, like I said. First, I want to talk about how social media can affect mental health. Then I'll explain to you guys how it can affect sleep. And then finally, I'll talk about how it can affect self-esteem. So, let's look into our first topic, which is how social media affects mental health. So, I did some research, and it showed that some studies found that teenagers who spend a lot of time on social media are more likely to feel anxious or stressed. And, you know, it's kind of just a little study on the brain, you know? And that actually came from one of my references, Anderson M. and Jiang J. at the Pew Research Center. And people, they constantly see posts about other people hanging out or, you know, traveling or doing fun things. And it seems like if I were to make a post on social media, I wanted to show the good parts of my vacation or of my life. I'm not going to show the sad, real parts. And someone's seeing that, and that's all you're ever going to see when you're scrolling on social media all the time. It's kind of just like, it'll make you think, you know? Make you think less about yourself because you're not perfect. But little did you know, neither are those people on your screen. So yeah, kind of also gives you like a little bit of FOMO for some people. So another problem that comes from spending a lot of time on social media is your sleep. And like I've experienced problems from this before, just because I think a lot of teenagers, they all like to stay up late, scrolling on their phones. And like, even when you know like it's not good for you and you should probably go to sleep, sometimes it's hard. You just get into a good scroll and it's hard to stop. And did you know that the light from the screens can actually make it harder for your brain to relax and fall asleep? I got that from Tweens J. Yeah. And so the last effect that I would like to talk about with my audience is how social media can affect self-esteem. So, most people post only the best moments of their lives, not the normal or boring parts. You know, you kind of want to post to show how you want to be perceived. you yourself, you know? Like, do I want to seem like I have all this money, or I have all this time, or I have such a happy family and we never argue, we never fight, we're so perfect? That's not the case most of the time, okay? And this can make teenagers want to compare themselves to people online and feel less than because they don't measure up to these big celebrity social media influencer everything, you know. And I just think this is really important to me because this is me and my friends and all my people. We all experience this, and it can hit you really hard for some people, you know. But now that we've talked about all these effects, I'll quickly go over my main points again. So today I talked about how social media can affect a teenager's mental health. It can affect their sleep and their self-esteem. Social media, it's a really big part of our lives, you know. I think everyone in this, one of you've had to have used your phones in the past hour. I bet that's a lot of people in this room. And I feel like we also learned how it can kind of have some negative effects. You know, I do think we can learn a lot and use it as a resource, but there's a lot of downsides, especially from these screens, you know, looking at them, messing up the brains, especially for such young, impressionable, and growing minds. And if we aren't careful how we use it, it could really hurt this coming generation. So social media, it can be fun and entertaining, but sometimes it might be a good idea to put the phone down and take a break, you know? Look outside, go in the grass, go golfing, get a hobby, you know? Don't get stuck looking up at all these people's fake reality on social media. Take charge of your life. Thank you.